Indeed, words will be insufficient to describe how gratified I am as Chief Justice and Head of the Judiciary of Sierra Leone to be granted this singular opportunity to stand on this side of the podium to contribute to the deliberations and share my views on the proposed establishment of a multilateral investment court, examining the merits, concerns, and future of investor state dispute settlement mechanism, focusing on the topic future relations between domestic courts and the multilateral investment court. Introduction. Foreign investment law has had a track of history, moving from home country law as paramount to national law, the national minimum standard, the state responsibility, meaning that breach of a minimum standard engage the responsibility of the host state, providing legitimacy for the exercise by the host state of the right of diplomatic protection of the foreign investor vis-a-vis the host state, a right dedicated on the inherent right to protect nationals abroad. Then, as countries began to gain independence in the 50s and 60s, the Calvo doctrine, which required foreign investors based on economic sovereignty and absolute equality outcomes to submit disputes regarding foreign investment in a country to that country's domestic costs, to exhaust local remedies prior to resorting to international arbitration or international adjudication. Even with all this development, there is however still no internationally negotiated treaty outlining terms and conditions for the protection of foreign investment, such that one had to look at all the sources of international law, mainly customary. Is said where every judiciary in almost all developing countries now have fast-track commercial courts like ours in Sierra Leone, with well-trained judges handling the cases that do come up needing experts. We now talk about multilateral investment courts as opposed to the investor-state dispute system, which will be a permanent court structured along the lines of investment, except that it's an international court as opposed to being domestic, and it is from some domestic courts in the name that the multilateral investment court put in its personnel or adjudications, judges, among other channels. In this kind of scenario, one must not lose sight of the very possibility of a judge in the domestic court later being appointed a judge of the multilateral court, which serve as a trigger for domestic courts to be like a training ground for judges need to show track record of independence and expertise so as to qualify them for international appointments and exposure. In this regard, since these courts will eventually be providing bigger personnel for the multilateral investment courts in the long run, the United Trade Commission on Trade may do well in providing the necessary capacity building for domestic courts personnel, even as a proposed setting up the MIC, the Multilateral Investment Court. It is pertinent to note that while the investor-state dispute system was born out of the need to overcome the problems faced in domestic courts, which were perceived as inadequate for the resolution of investment disputes on the one hand, with a view to attracting foreign direct investment and capital to those states by providing mutual ground for settlement of disputes, and lastly, depoliticizing disputes on the other hand. Each tool is not without its problems. In short, ISDS was to provide a neutral, independent, and efficient dispute settlement forum, which was supposed to eliminate all the shortcomings of domestic litigation and diplomatic protection, but it also woefully failed in that regard. Their problems include the length and cost of arbitration proceedings, Sierra Leone has witnessed that, the structural inadequacy of adult adjudicating bodies through arbitration to ensure consistency in the interpretation and application of legal issues, to which no principle of stare decisis of judicial precedent, such that each tribunal did its own thing, leading to unfair decisions. But C, perceived lack of independence and impartiality of arbitration, and B, the belief that national courts are still well placed and in fact better placed to handle investment disputes, with there being no need for foreign investment to be provided with direct access to local standard international tribunals for settlement of such disputes, and also in a forum which is one-sided in that only they could present claims and the same rights, not even open to domestic investors. Multilateral investment court vis-a-vis domestic court. On the backdrop of such problems encountered by the investor-state dispute system mechanism using adult arbitration or investing state arbitration, the concept of a multilateral investment court has emerged with distinctive features. A multilateral investment court is an international court of a permanent nature like domestic court, with a secretariat that will be set up within by treaty to adjudicate on and decide on determine investment dispute commenced by investors as well as host states. It being set up as a way of addressing the several problems associated with the investor-state dispute resolution system. It should be so formulated as to represent a major departure of the system of investor-state dispute settlement based on adult commercial arbitration or delocalized dispute arbitration system. It must be a complete court system with courts of first instance and appellate court, with principles of stare decisis and judicial when in as part of its rules of procedure. Owing to the literature I have been able to get from the permanent mission appeal, a multilateral event should be endowed with these desired features. First instance, an appeal mechanism. Full-time salary judges appointed by state parties and fixed non-renewable terms to allow for extensive rotation of the judges for highly qualified judges obliged to adhere to the strictest ethical standard to handle expertise and ethical issues without geographical and gender diversity considered. with geographical and gender of equality before laws. As we do, one must ask the question, what then would be the future relations between domestic courts and the multilateral defense courts? Should it be an issue of incentive in cafeteria of remedies and getting the investor to choose as places? Or should it be an issue where it be required to exhaust remedies, local remedies before venturing into the international arena of the multilateral investment court? Or should it be the case where domestic investment is left in the national domain with domestic courts, and similarly so international investment is left in the international domain, leaving the domestic or international investor with no option whatsoever? As a proposed formulation of multilateral investment court is well underway, hence this meeting of the OCTA working group, it would be a good thing for the setting up such a commission up if it confines the foreign investor to the remedy has chosen. This should be the case so as to restore recourse to a multiplicity of claims brought in respect of the same dispute or issue for different tribunal court. Domestic, that is domestic court with a multilateral investment. There will be the need to require an investor to make an election of the needs of the guests and then confine the investor to one form of the guest. In the normal course of events, there are three possibilities of recourse to remedies. The first is through the domestic court, which is preferred by the host state as a multi-application of local. The second is the dispute settlement that the foreign investor negotiated in the contract, which is usual arbitration before an institution or other arbitration. The third is the mechanism of the investment treaty that protects his investment. Thus, a fork in the rule clause in a treaty would seek to confine the foreign investor to one remedy by concluding result to others if it's shown to have made a fair decision. It aims to avoid violent proceedings which entails implication of cost, risk of double recovery, and persistent outcome. The effect of the fork in the rule clause will prevent any duplication of proceedings and thus cost, because the trigger of one follow automatically takes the loss of access to the other. It has a practical effect of forcing or prompting investors to, as a first step, access the international forum for fear of otherwise losing that option and domestic proceedings starting. Waiver or more U-turn clauses may be another way as it permits investors to opt for and choose the international dispute mechanism after commencing domestic proceedings in relation to the same matter. Thus, the waiver or no U-turn clause, like the forfeit rule clause, is not final. When that subsequent choice is made, however, the foreign investor will be required to continue domestic proceedings or waive his right to start new domestic proceedings. As we move to the era of multilateral investment court, it may be necessary to include provisions in the multilateral investment court treaty that allow investors from state parties to invoke such clauses which may prevent forum shopping and parallel proceedings and cover concurrent or subsequent litigation by closely related parties in relation to the same facts or measures. Lastly, while it is well established, it is a well-established fact that so long as it is limitation on international investment agreements, bids or regional trade agreements that are not based on the EC program, domestic courts will have a supportive role to play for arbitration, with stay of proceedings, interim measures, or constitution of the tribunal during arbitration, to read interim measures, classifiers, witnesses, attendants, reconstitution of the tribunal, etc. After arbitration, to read setting aside or enforcing award, allowing for a symbiotic relation between domestic courts and investor state dispute resolution system involving other The role of domestic courts in support and control of the proceedings may considerably change with the multilateral investment court as a result of the transition from adult arbitration tribunal to a standby permanent court. A court with the role of domestic court must pertain. Thus, for example, the nature of the multilateral investment court render any role for domestic courts in the appointment of judges and constitution of the panel to deal with specific cases unnecessary. With regards to challenge adjudicators, this is also likely to be less frequent than for arbitrators, because the multilateral investment treaty will confer the power to decide on qualification to an external authority, means that the Permanent Court of Arbitration Secretary General, the HC Secretary General, or the ICJ, or reserve this function to an internal body in the court. In respect of the powers to seek interim measures from domestic courts, which may exist under national arbitration laws, the lex arbitrum, the multilateral investment court treaty provides for a solution akin to the one found in the sea convention context, which excludes any such rule unless otherwise provided by the parties here to 9.5 of the sea rules. The multilateral investment treaty or statute will be required to provide for its own system of review of first instance decision in the form of an appeal, or to state its order of judicial precedents and principles of style and sense, which may learn from the domestic court, but controlled by the and procedurally put in place following form or nomination. A residual rule will remain for domestic courts and the enforcement. The above notwithstanding, the need for cooperation and dialogue should be heightened and put into effect by annual conferences between domestic courts and multilateral investment courts. Conclusion. As I conclude, it's clear to me that because of the problems associated with investor-state dispute systems through adult arbitration tribunals and investment arbitrators, there is obviously the need for a new system. Under the auspices of the procedural working group, emphasis is being placed on the setting up the multilateral investment court. This in no way is going to reduce the relevance of domestic courts in the foreign investment landscape or domain or international investment disputes. This is so for a number of reasons. One, regardless of whether an international investment agreement mentions the host states, domestic courts as a forum for the education of investment dispute between investors and states, domestic courts, states will normally be and invariably is the default forum. Also, even as we speak, the vast majority of disputes between foreign investment foreign investments and good states are resolved in national. That apart from a decision to invest, investors consider the prospect for profit, the tax regime, general investment plan, stability of the legal framework in the host state, the presence of international investment agreements and bilateral investment treaties, investment promotion laws, and availability of based mechanisms that stand outside the judicial system of the host state. Integral to that decision is whether a country's legal framework is stable and solid enough to guarantee protection of foreign investors in the eventuality of disputes between the host states and nationals of the state. It involves other factors like whether there is proper investment promotion laws, whether the country's arbitration landscape is good arbitration with up-to-date arbitration laws, the country being a member of the New York Convention, etc. Whether the country is a member of the Sea Convention or member of the multilateral investment, whether there is effective mediation system for settling disputes, whether it stops with domestic as such that they embrace states' responsibility of both international minimum standards and the rule of law, whether the judiciary is independent. Finally, I note that there are already criticisms that the multilateral investment court will, as a result of its formation by states, be not independent and neutral, and will state bias. This will not be new, as every court always be in the natural frame of things, be accused of being biased in favor of those for it. What can have believed peace presumption is the very court personnel themselves and how they go about dispensing justice in an independent, transparent, and neutral manner. And this is why high standards of recruitment be essential to support living up to its promise and infrastructural design. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Coverage of issues and giving us a sense of the important my academic and feel of with the new on discussion, and we have before us a mark performance in that we see for you. I will not be interested in them at one go right at the start, but I'll introduce each of us just before we present from the past to you. And so we have first up Dr. Judith Mccullough, who is from the most of you know that the Secretary of Rep. Honestly, is a long standing representative of 20 years experience worked with national organization owners and comes to trial, and she will provide us with instructions with us on the national defense report from the Secretary. Perhaps taking a step back for the program to the outline of the background. As this session today it is a space for an exchange of views and opinions, considering the work that really started in the context of working group and it's going forward and needs to work with this particular timely considering the work group sessions on two of which took place last year. So as we second perspective now on the work
yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the presentation. Honorable needed message this morning. Thank all of you that she's really so good. So I was not responding to the question as we already said, but I will rather report what all of us did together. And I must admit that when I hear I was surprised how many discussions we already have. Always intensive weeks we have, and then months spent to get all of these in the way. So regarding the standing mechanism with one of our institutions, reform elements, and others like the advisory system, we had some quite extensive preliminary issues discussed sessions, so we dedicated some kind of solution of this system. Of course, one of the key aspects for decisions that would be rendered by standing first year body or by another issue that always is financing such a permanent body, the selection of the indicators, the standing mechanism, and then general measures of the in the selection. We touched upon fundamental questions related to the composition of the governing body and based on all of these preliminary considerations, we drafted draft position that can be subject of two sessions whenever we both ready. union members, nomination of the candidate next. Including, of course, their reference to terms of office. Not sure we can assign draft commission. We have a number of major issues that we discuss and the need of establishment, whether such a tribunal is under the auspices of the existing organization that will be ready or that separate organization, whether the bodies that act the governance practices committee of secretary, whether as we said so. Those procedural questions that we still need to solve will also be done with so from our perspective, the next step one is the agenda continuing we have an initial draft for timing session. Yes, we are working on site and mechanism possibly before the decision. And from the perspective of the next topic, there is the possibility exactly how it would look like, what it must reflect, how this is
Thank you very much, so we just have a brief introduction session the effective sector for 1 month. So questions. Our main panelist is Mr. Neil that wants to the delegation to the he's also going to meet the aspect of fields in assessment with the trade. Sorry, your information. And continue, I guess in this time, so we're speaking on why he is behind it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Organizing this event. I want to make 3 points that comments. I want to make 3 comments. First, why you secondly, why we think makes sense. And then very briefly, just to talk about what first of all, why is for this? I don't think any strict areas the individual under the and on what the issue is debate we
controlled debate. In that discussion, we were forced to what is the most approach to nature of the types of it's clear to us, thought that then that any solution will make most we're very glad consider these issues established program. I think the thing that is breaking out is very widespread nature of is led to such diverse, large, deep work to confirm that numbers that attests to the importance of my second point is on established. And here are basic points. And that is the only founding mechanism can address the main problem, which is because the problems are people. If we think about consistency, very obvious. Only standing next that has an appeal and address which is key for all stakeholders, the governments, the investors. We also think standing mechanism is best to resolve the tensions that testimony of that is the problems is having during the issue of double handling. We think it is an impossible address which can be addressed. And that important and saying that government is the only way to bring everything and diversity, geographical representation, and we also think that an multilateral investment board solves these or can address also is an independent individuals to private companies to manage receipt effectively. And the first one I wanted to make to speak for hours about it, for is how also here which is the key issue is that we ensure independent, impartial, and expertise of the judiciary. And we think in a very good position to do that because we have the lessons learned from particularly we know very sales what we think our what we think is also extremely important again is it's extremely important to change the way we most of us operating think about it that paradigm changes in how changes in the next course and changes so there are lots of issues to discuss, lots of work to do, and again, discuss issues.
Thank you very much for giving us that for advertising and giving us putting our the next one is the ambassador who also supporting ISDS reform in
Thank you. Given the time, I'll stand on protocol and say it's really a pleasure of speaking with this as public. So I'm sure the very first question was but in the context of the ISDS, it's sure that there's the multilateral investment fact. To my yes, it's always good to speak after calling because the African issue, foreign issue, or sexually. But then just speaking up on the point, caution which African state is really it's not simply that for the regional and essentially look at what the framework and third world approach to international. Consider the history, appreciate what should be planned. But also when we look at general space, what is important really right process, space, activity, and that is output to matter. So to address this very first concern, it is an aim of the thing. The focus should be on showing that the process is constrained, but also output is very like an exciting example, it's a position, but also the position of the very so we'll see as a discussion which was after the proposal. So we see there's the second point I wish to is quickly is really this issue of we looked at the debate in this of is it that's essential to engage in discussion most sometimes engaging in discussion equated as supporting multilateral. But I see this as a different distinction in the sense that looking at the recent practice of the European Union, almost side of the recent meeting. But if you're going to do business with the Union in the future, then it may be favorable to enter discussions on the multilateral investment or how much investment is inevitable. On that basis, I think that I need to engage in the process. So it could be The top point I wish to make response is really the approach that we take in negotiation. So when we had the working papers, put it as an introduce, mention, working paper mention, appointment, ISS. One focus has been at looking at station. It has been the view of states to ensure that what are the international. And we see that as being good, what are the from we able to finalize. And that's one way to show that the after states yes. And the next thing is to show members who's a type of members and we have to in the working paper, they need to show diversity. And this will refer to the gender balance, but also geographical. The point was made in the negotiation is that the other use the principle of equitable production because this is the principle of this guarantee geographical diversity. So these are the things which this really address proposal from African perspective. And so the next question, what would be the future of this proposal and investment model like this for concerns? Noting the mandate of working group based on the issue and not so much personality concerns, which I really recommend. I will focus so the first will be responding to issue of accessibility and diversity. One proposal would be to have a decentralized perspective. I've argued in all the panels that we can do this. It could be similar to what we have in the United Nations. That is the United Nations and the United Nations is in this system, the UNAT and the UNDP here in New York deliver. And what you have is that what you are appointing is education. And I see a multiplication investment you have so you have locations in various regions. This is a decentralized approach. As a second point on this to address I want to focus on the center. What is important to really connect the issue of communication and the services the advising center will offer. And the case has been made that the advising center should offer assistance mechanism, be an assistance mechanism, but also as a forum for change. Whether we agree as a work to have one way to allow for accessibility and show you that the services I will also continue to focus on the first issue of implementation and the point a possible multilateral investment for the permanent institution we have is in which they establish to assist states that linked to this will be the issue of capacity. I will also give the example of the ICJ just for to allow for lost countries to be able to access their tourism program because of the cost education to universities and institutions from state. And the context
he said that the international court hasn't been reformed. And so then it hasn't been. And this is one challenge facing the application. I'm going to conclude by intervention because of time, and I see if I can go better, but it really doesn't test on the idea. And the idea is systems need today the general assessment is not the right source. The question is climate change. So I'm wondering whether this issue of investment particularly which a national issue of the address the issue of this not unless the names of such concerns in some of the procedural issues, but in summary, when we look at these are the issues which are put forward for get.
Thank you very much, Michael, and it's very informative for us in the Martin and Jared is the senior on the potential respond to claim that going to be at least and to which needs to be
very happy beneficiary of all their hard work. As you've heard, I'm going to get into academics on a potential multilateral investment court. I've actually prepared some beautiful slides here. I'm not going to collect them up, perhaps from our circulating in the future. So I'm going to read a little bit from them and also talk to you. If I'm going to talk about an academic perspective, the first question is, what is that? I actually asked my wife, she's a judge, she told me to produce useless theories. I'm not going to do that. The next thing you might be asking yourself, if you're not going to do the useless theories thing, are you going to advocate for a little more outcome? The answer is no, it's a state-driven process. So, I mean, ideally, what I'll be doing is conducting some type of impartial investigation. Of course, the topic has to be the multilateral investment court. I'm particularly interested in the appellate mechanism and also consistency. So we're going to talk about consistency. Our first question should be, what is it? I think we can go down one or two paths. Very fundamentally, it has to be the elimination of inconsistent case law. And when I talk about case law, I'm talking about adjudicated main law. So you can think of treaty interpretation, classic example. And if you're going to eliminate inconsistent case law, the situation will be this. You'll have a question like, what is the meaning of X? And you'll have one school that says, well, X means or equals Y plus Z. And then you'll have another school that says, well, no, X actually means A plus B. The problem is that those two theories will be kind of existing at the same time. Now, I suspect, well, I mean, I'm almost certain that a multilateral investment court can eliminate that type of inconsistency, and it can settle on, okay, X equals Y plus Z. I'm also very relatively certain that once X does equal Y plus Z, it will stay that way for an indefinite period. And if we are going to say that certain piece of jurisprudence stays that way for an indefinite period, let's call it what it is. I think there will be a system of precedent developing case reporting without cases to read, can't develop a precedent. So we have that. You need institutionalized adjudication as opposed to more ad hoc or personalized adjudication. So of course that's going to be part of the process. And then finally, you need I think a certain desire for consistency. I suspect in the future that the judges of this court will look back to the reports of the work group and I'll see that word consistency in those reports quite consistently. Actually, sorry. And they'll think, well, okay, once we've decided on a particular interpretation, we'll need to stick to it. There will be, of course, some delegations in the room that think, well, there are some issues. If a system of precedent is going to develop here, how can we go about correcting bad treaty interpretations? And of course, you already know the answer to this. There's a kind of intervention mechanism, and that's going to be the treaty interpretation. Here's my counterpoint or contrapoint to that. I'm going to be a bit mischievous here, but name any investment treaty arbitration where the only applicable source of law was a treaty. Of course, there's no such arbitration. You don't have to use customary international law. You don't have to use general principles. Some of these arbitrations are actually based on domestic law. So my broader point is that considering that the court in the future will be developing precedents with regard to these other sources of law, I think we need to think, we've kind of confined our thinking to treaty interpretation. We need to go beyond that. Now, if that is the case, the next two logical questions would be, one, should states try to regulate the law-making of adjudicators with respect to customary international law and general principles and these other sources of law? Now, if you answer yes, then, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you answer no, you're just going to let the situation go to the judge. And they'll decide how exactly when they follow their precedents, when they push it away. One other option could be is when these treaty interpretation committees are formed, there's the possibility within them to also let treaty parties give interpretations on customary international rules. The problem with that is that most treaty committees I think are going to be quite small. The final option would be to add a protocol to the treaty creating an alternative. And in that protocol, states can lay down the rules on how exactly they can change these bad precedents. So I just have probably 30 seconds left. I'll give you the three takeaways. The first one is, I think there's a likelihood that there'll be a system of precedent developed. Second point would be, we need to think about regulating precedents that relate to treaty sources of law. And finally, one way to do that would be to add a protocol to whatever treaty might come out of the process. With that, I think my time has expired and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Martin, and thank you for compressing those ideas very time. That's just give us more time to interact with the government and he represents the U.S. Council of is working, actually previously represented the United States. The state is trying to negotiate on USDR, so we've seen the situation working with both and in the context of today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sylvia on the application and to the originators of justice. It's really a privilege to talk about multilateral investment here today. I will offer a candid, quickly constructive. I will explain why investors do not support multilateral investment work, and also why states should not. And as a general question of caveat, I recognize that I cannot speak on behalf of all investors. I'm not a key investor. and also investors are not being on the clock. But my comments here are informed by my 10 years of experience engaging on the court as a government official, and now in capacity as an attorney in the private sector, representing the U.S. State industry. And I can tell you, over 10 years, I've had countless conversations with investors in almost every sector I've been in. And I have yet to encounter a single company, a multinational company that invests abroad that favors a multilateral investment court over the existing system. Now, that's not to say they don't exist, but they are very shy. And so why do investors oppose the court? We hear a general proposition: the dispute settlement system for investment disputes needs to be neutral and balanced. It must yield enforceable rewards. And it must be available and reliable when a dispute arises. And here I think the court can fail on each of these counts. And I will compress my comments of micro-confession in my time. But the first point is not balanced because investors will lose the ability to appoint adjudicators. And here, I think it must be emphasized the right of an investor to appoint a arbitrator and participate in the selection of the chair of the tribunal builds trust. The dispute settlement system was neutral and fair. And taking that right away, as a court would do, in giving states the sole right to appoint adjudicators, will impair investors' confidence in the system. As I'm saying this, I see already, I predict you may say that states will select judges when appeal to their offensive and defensive. If that is in fact what you're writing, I think it is an aspiration and a hope not supported by evidence that can be discussed more. The second investor concern I will highlight is enforceability. Enforceability of warrants under a court would be piecemeal and patchwork at best. In the current system, I think it's easy to take for granted the universal enforceability of awards under the New York Convention and the Leone'S Convention. But the promise of enforcement of awards is central to investor trust in the present system. In the case of the court, there is significant uncertainty, legal uncertainty, as to whether awards will be enforceable at all in jurisdictions that are not party to the court. Some may consider that the convention applies, others don't. This rule will not decide that question. That question will be decided in hundreds of domestic courts around the world, and they will almost certainly reach varying conclusions. And so we're talking about replacing a system of universal enforceability from one with piecemeal and patchwork enforcement. The third investor concern I would highlight very briefly is serious concerns about the court's durability and staying power. We have to keep our present context in mind. We're talking about creating a new permanent international court in an environment in which A, international institutions, including the one they're sitting in today, are chronically underfunded, and B, there's a preeminent permanent mechanism for the settlement of international economic disputes. The WTO appellate body is dysfunctional and broken. And I think investors are skeptical about the durability of creating a new permanent mechanism in this environment. Will it be available when the dispute arises? Very briefly, this is the investor view, the state view, or why states should follow this objective, not support it. Here, I'll highlight two reasons, in addition to the notion that it is not in the interest of investment. The two additional points. So one, it's not in your interest in attracting inbound investment. And then second, it's not in the interest of states as respondents in investment disputes. With respect to inbound investment, many states that I've talked to in this group view international investment rules as a key tool to attract inbound investment. In my view, the court will disincentivize and deter inbound investment. I have a whole diatribe as to the importance of FDI, why FDI today, FDI growth is stagnant. I will save that for later, perhaps based on that data. But I think the bottom line is a very slow moment for foreign investment capital. I think creating a brand new court that will not be favored by investors will not help restart investment flows. With respect to states as respondents, very briefly, I think some states may look at the notion of a body of judges selected by states and think this is a very effective mechanism to reflect state interest. In my view, it's not, for a key reason, and that is that when a dispute actually arises, the respondent state would also use the ability to appoint the adjudicators in a given case. And so whereas in the current system, you can choose adjudicators based on their language skills, based on their industry knowledge, their background, their technical knowledge, you would lose that. And so this is what it means. This is what it means for respondents. It is highly likely that as a respondent in the report, you will have to defend cases where, had you had the choice, you would not have selected any of the adjudicators before you, and query whether that's a better option for states now than in the current system. Final point with respect to states as respondents, and here this is an impolitic point, but it's one that must be made, and that is that the choice of judges on the court will likely be dominated by one region, and that is the European Union. And here, under current proposals, judges on the court will be selected by 2/3, 3/4 of contracting states. So what does that mean? It means that if you have 2/3 vote, the 27 EU member states would have an absolute veto, a total veto, over the appointment of every single judge on the court until you have 80 contracting states. If it's 3/4, that number rises to 110 states. Now you can do things differently. You could give a regional block its own judges effectively, not subject them to a vote of all the states. But I think that would be a recipe for division and discord, and would call into question the legitimacy of an award from the court. I think I'm out of time here. I would just summarize and say, in my view, reflecting an investor perspective, the court is not fit for purpose. I want to be very clear, however, opposition to a court is not opposition to reform. The concerns cited today are the length and cost of proceedings, consistency, perceived lack of interest, partiality. These are legitimate concerns, and there are a range of other ideas in the group that we're all very closely to support in ensuring that the system reflects investor and state interests.
And I'm not sure it's important for us to be able to for us to ensure that the rest so we now got for some interaction. They will use the the event is scheduled to 10 minutes. And then I put them down.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for the very interesting presentation and to the fairly on dedication for organizing this event. I want to follow up on two things that were said, one by Lauren. The emphasis on consistency is clear throughout the discussions of the working group, but so is the emphasis on coherence. And in considering the possibility of a future court establishment precedent with respect to substantive provisions, I think that has to raise some flags given the increasing heterogeneity of treaties. We're not talking about treaties that only look like standard police models, 1970s and 80s, but treaties that are increasingly complex, finally negotiated, Western chapters in FTAs with varieties of exceptions and clauses. So accordingly, concern must be raised that a single court with a mandate to provide consistency may do so at the expense of coherence, at the expense of the meaning of individual treaties. And so I think that that's a concern that needs to be addressed. And one way of addressing it may be for states which are parties to significantly large treaties like CPT and PARS, to consider whether or not there might be dedicated chambers
for those kinds of treaties, which would be specialized in interpreting just that treaty. That will provide you with consistency across the board that perhaps is helpful. But then again, consistency across the board in the case that may not be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. And perhaps I can get under questions also to and cover the question. That's not it. So let me
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Very considered question. Can I offer two responses? Regarding treaty interpretation, yes, great amount of divergence between the various treaties, and you can only hope that the adjudicators in the future respect that and don't say, well, the term X in this treaty means that, therefore it means the same thing in this treaty over here, and for each treaty they adopt. So, yeah, I mean that's a matter of treaty interpretation. My broader point was that if we think about customary rules, the general principles, rules that derive from general principles, those are rules that should apply across the spectrum, actually, regardless of which investment treaty is applicable in the case. So, whenever a court or arbitral tribunal has to apply the ILC articles on state responsibility, if there is a precedent developed in respect of those articles, then we would expect in the future that the court would probably follow it. So, yeah, that's what I was getting at. And if that happens, and states are looking at that particular interpretation, I mean, like I often say, there's one member of the causation fan club, and it's me. And if it turns out that the court is adopting a particular idea of causation that states look at and say, no, that's all right. The thing is about that interpretation, it should go across the broad spectrum, and I'm basically putting out the idea of, do states need to think about a control mechanism for that type of situation, for that type of precedent? And again, thank you so much for the question.
Very briefly, your comments, yes. And I would go a step farther. You highlighted the issue of consistency across multiple instruments. I would posit, even on the same instrument, is consistency the most important value, or is it practice? Because what I would posit is, for a state is to consider, think of the most sensitive issue in your foreign investment policy. For some states, that may be the scope of PT, it may be the scope of the sensitive exception, sensitive security or reservation. And think about a tribunal court rendered a decision, the interpretation of that language in a case that you're not even part of, that then binds the interpretation of your treaty essentially for perpetuity. That is not a far-fetched scenario. We see that in other instruments, including the one I mentioned earlier, which is now non-functional fund, where you have one decision on a sensitive issue that the sovereign state's view makes the mechanism effectively ineffective for resolving or addressing key priorities. And the final point I would make here is, whose job is it to ensure consistency? I think that in giving this responsibility to a permanent court, states may be giving up authority to take scholarship defense in their briefing in disputes as non-disputing parties, as participants in development.
Thank you, Michael. And then this is Michael, and just like to highlight the chief taking questions. Michael.
Thank you, Madam. I just want to we offer some important thought, especially on what we consider as perspective of people. But maybe to ask the question from from the African perspective, how would we really be going to examine the data reports behind the disease and the nature of something there, looking at second generation of history, including Mexico, so the focus in ensuring that the system must respond to those concerns. But we have been fixed or we want to respond. And in general, to respond to the issue, I think the case that the question is would that investment must be fair or that's the solution. It's a solution. And for now, the thinking is that the permanent mechanism would be most responsive to challenges identified as a work. It doesn't mean that we resolve all the issues, but as a teacher is stated, and being a new institution, that might be issues which we have to resolve. But for now, I think it's the best thing to respond to the issue, which have been identified. And states, consider different states and responding to some of the issues of practical issues, cost relation, agency performance. Yes, there might be a lot of agency performance in specific cases, but then you have agency performance because data is a type. And the company will pass it to the point of agency. But it's not lost, just that it gets priced in a different way. Lost. And I think ensuring that you finance the institution, apply it to successful institution, and use the objective criteria that exists, particularly for other international tribunal, is the best way to approach. Particularly if you look at this development space, the cost of the application institution, which might be analyzed and from the Ministry of Education and experience. But I just wanted to see that you have good perspective and to have a practical perspective for a state that has experience as this, which I on this issue of consistency, I think a permanent court is better because what we judges are full-time employees. It's not part-time. So they are placed in a position where they will consider a lot of things and where they should distinguish the case. They will take cultural background
Another is do we have feel budget from first from alcohol, competition, and I think we would also say interaction regional course that we deal with region. Lots of things that the only question of representation. We think this is extremely important. And we think one is that precisely marriage. The current system changes practically what the equity, because in the current system, the default instinct always to law firms, officials, investors, we all need to justify periods why people are the only way is us. What this means is studies on this what this means is that there is practical parties extremely busy. So what becomes extremely important and rules that we must come what kind of maybe we should that's something that one is regional based. Working around that is basically the company to ensure at the same time that you want country law. So we have work to do. But I'm just very
Just very question of how to ensure questions that other developing countries have to say, as it were, in the institutional court. How do we consider, I've been hearing about what's connected to regionalism, the values, first years, and yet 10 years into the discussion, I've yet to see a proposal. Any advocate for applications to regional representation in this area, including members of today. I think it's incumbent on the applicants to explain very clearly what's done. My concern is that it can't be done, like in terms of fair and equitable regional representation for simple reason, and that is that the composition of work will reflect the composition of the faculty states. And from my experience in this room, it seems that there is one group of states that is really, really important. And that will likely, for the foreseeable future, for many years, occupy, if not the majority of the in terms of contracting states, very significant. So how do you get around that? And multi-line administration that again is a product of contracting states. How do you enable full mutual ethical care of distribution of responsibility? I don't know the answer to that.
Thank you very much. Everyone, we've come to time. This has been a constant meeting event. I'd like to wrap this without concluding just a mini text for you for putting this together, for putting us all together. I think the key words for one and let's say for and streamline conceptualizing this data. Thank you for your participation. Nearly again like all our conversations, the beginning of further conversations. And we had some action. How do I do it? That's my education. And we move forward and all of us move forward to take a little down into these questions. Thank you for spending your lunch hours with us. And see you 10 minutes in this room. Please don't be unless you